I'll talk about Montreal's game against Columbus in the review. Right now, it's in between periods in the game I'm watching, and I thought I want to do a video on this. And when am I going to have the time tonight? I might as well do it now, right? Uploaded at a relatively decent time Eastern. And I got this today. So what I've been trying to do is get as many of these books as I can. I had, I believe, 5. I now have 7. I got this one, and I got Pittsburgh today. And it's funny because I want to talk about Montreal's young star player, Max Domi. Now, in tonight's scoreline, if you look, Brendan Gallagher was a -4. That stands out. But what stood out to me, and I looked up the stats. So Max Domi with no shots tonight, throws a couple of hits. The kid is a great talent. And I take no issue with that. I think he was a great find from Arizona. The one thing that I've noticed in games with Max Domi this year, teams are well aware he has a short fuse. Now, whether it's because the name on the back of the jersey says Domi, or if it's something just about his personality, what I've noticed is when he's really ticked off at the other team, it throws him off his game. And it's funny because there are some players that it throws them off where you go out there to try to get them going. And in some cases, players get fired up. So you go out there and you throw a hit on them, whatever. One that kind of does both. It depends on the game. Sometimes Sidney Crosby gets all fired up and sort of has his distractions. But more often than not, you get Sid the Kid fired up, you made a mistake. I know in Vancouver, a good example of that if he was playing angry, he played his best, was Ed Jovanovski. A guy who doesn't get talked about a whole lot at this stage. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but man, Jovanovski was pretty tough customer. And for Domi, and I know he's young, so I'm not trying to pile on or anything, but it really feels like he's got all this energy. Like tonight, Boone Jenner, and he had something going on out there. And if you're Columbus, you'll take that trade-off. You will take that trade-off that, okay, well, Jenner's out there and he's distracted, but he's distracting Max Domi, who is arguably their best offensive player. Gallagher, you could make the argument for as well. Given enough time, I think Kotkaniemi might be the best guy on the team, but you don't want to put that on him yet. Now, you know, the one thing with Max is trying to find a way for him to use that energy to get those shots and score those goals. The best example I can think of, and the best mentor he could pick up, Jarome Iginla. Jarome Iginla was a guy that, you know, having watched him as a Canucks fan for over a decade, my biggest fear was he would take a hit, there'd be a fight, something that would get him involved, something that would get him emotionally invested. And I would watch a game between Vancouver and Calgary, and, you know, he'd be going through the motions and be like, all right, he's having a quiet night. Oh, why did they hit him? Oh, they just activated beast mode. And Iginla would just be absolutely fantastic the rest of the game. Not every player can do that. But in Domi's case, and the reason there's a video tonight is because it's not the first time I've seen this, where a team is targeting Domi, going, okay, that's one of their best players. If we can get him off his game, because he's so ticked off at that guy, who's Jenner, and then later on he went after Seth Jones as well. And Jones was having a kind of a laugh about it, because they took him off his game. And he does tend to kind of move around the ice a lot, and you're taking him off his game. And I'm saying that as a guy who I'm not necessarily a Montreal fan. Everybody knows that. It's not news. But I like Max Domi. And I'd love to see him have, you know, his best years ahead of him and keep improving. He has had a fantastic year for Montreal. Quieter over the second half of the season than in the first, but I think that could be expected. I would think next year, I think his totals will probably go up again. But it is a matter of channeling that emotion. And once teams know they can get under your skin, once opponents know, okay, we were watching game footage and man, you can really knock this guy off his game. It's tough because then it'll get worse. The chirping's going to get worse. The slashes, the cross checks, the little pokes and digs at the guy are going to get worse. So here's the question I have. Am I the only one that's seen this? If you're a Montreal fan, have you seen this as well? And here's a question I have as well for fans who may not be Montreal fans. Which player gets knocked off his game when he gets angry? And who do you think right now in the NHL, when he's angry, plays his best hockey? I'm willing to say probably either, and they're both hated. Marchand plays great when he's angry at the other team. Bergeron the other night did as well, but I have to give it to Tom Wilson here as well. Tom Wilson, when he's angry, as long as he doesn't cross that line, and I'm well aware when he crosses that line, it's suspension territory. But he does play some of his best hockey when he's angry. It's all about channeling that emotion in the right direction. And I think Domi will get it figured out. But again, for me, he's smaller. I believe he's smaller than Iginla. Iginla was at least Iginla played big. I'm just thinking like off the top of my head. I don't know the dimensions with Iginla, but he always played big. And Domi sort of reminds me of him, except for this fact, except for this one part. I think he's got the wheels, he's got the hands. His hands are better than I saw them in Arizona last year. I guess it just didn't work in Arizona, and maybe there's something to be said for Rick Tocchet's coaching there as well, where we're seeing Arizona struggling to score. Guys leave Arizona and suddenly they're not struggling anymore. So maybe there's something there, but that's a whole other topic. Let me know what you guys think. Max Domi, does he, evolve from here and get himself into that top six? Sort of a slick forward, probably bring his penalty minutes down and score more goals. Or is this going to be a thing with him? Another good example of a guy who plays well when he's angry is Matt Tkachuk. Matt Tkachuk, if you get him emotionally involved in the game, there's a problem. You're very likely to lose. Let him skate around. I guess something with Calgary. Joel Otto was another one. If we want to go way back in the past, Joel Otto was another one that when he was angry, headbutting on faceoffs, but that's a whole other topic. Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.